about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
10 seconds to love.
10 seconds to shove. 10 seconds to...
Blah, 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 blah.
Roger Rackett and the Racktones return for one final concert.
Let's go.
I'm Jimmy.
Power on.
You listen
Auxiliary
to
input
Roy and
mode.
You listen to Roy and Jimmy. The zombie apocalypse episode. Roy, too fat to live, was eaten by zombies.
Start live video.
Start live video feed now.
Start live video feed now, robot.
5.
What do we do, Dan?
Talk like a
Start?
robot day commences.
Yeah, let's just start.
Okay.
Another great show in the can, Jeff.
Oh, another great show in the can, whether we're on or off the air. It's always a good show.
Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island.
It's time for the Jeff Sargent Show. Like Chaotic Radio. You know, it's just like an hour. Less, you can get it here in an hour from LA, from Hollywood.
You can leave now.
Maybe a few more minutes if you're in Northridge or Calabasas or West Hills, homeowners estate.
Mexico,
Northridge.
the ocean, a sailboat on the ocean.
Santa Monica. Get your ass down here. And, hey, guess who's here? Live in the studio. Just us. Our co-host, Janky.
We are guest free today, except for a possible call-in from Scott Schwartz, great guy from the Christmas Story.
Yep. Hey, Dan Rupp is here trying to hold this ship together, man. What are you doing in there? There he is in the control, but he was late because he's hanging out with Chad and what's Chad's brother's name?
Corey.
Chad and Corey, the Smash Brothers, the Dirty Show guys over there at the comedy club at the Ontario Improv.
Dan's head is hanging lower than that.
What, are you hanging out till 3 in the morning drinking chocolate milk or what?
Dan's head is hanging.
Milk and cookies?
The only one more ashamed of Dan this morning is his sponsor.
Yeah, we got a sponsor, and then Dan's got a sponsor. Do you sponsor anybody in the program?
Yes, I sponsor 2 people currently.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the Smash
What do you
Brothers.
think your limit when you're a clean guy and you're sponsoring an addict or an alcoholic? What? I mean, there's a guy that we know, our friend Todd, who's like, God, he's got like how do you have time for all these assholes? You know?
You don't, and it's very difficult.
It's very difficult. I mean, just call me anytime when it's 3 in the morning. I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna. Who wants 20 guys calling doing that?
Have you had?
I don't see how these guys. That's why I said I've been clean for so long. I don't want to do no sponsorship.
Yeah.
I never had one. Never did. I got a self-appointed one, and I fired his ass.
I remember you brought him to Fire Tux for the Angel Orange show.
Who was it?
Who was it?
Who sponsored you? Wow. Well, the Jeff Sargent show has been in progress for 1 minute.
Hey, Dan, wake up, man.
It already feels like it's been on
We
too
get
long.
here late, then we find out that we're going to play this back on YouTube. We're not live streaming right now.
No, we are streaming.
Oh, shite.
No shit.
Yes.
So if people are dialing in, they're gonna listen and watch right now.
Yes, give them the number.
Oh my God! It's Chaotic Radio. Welcome to Chaotic Radio. If you want to call in. You're gonna need it. Call in and ask questions. Stupid questions, smart questions.
What's the number?
We might even hang up on you. You might hang up on us.
What's the number?
The number.
What's the number?
The number in my radio voice is 909-360-8800. 8330. That's Chaotic Radio in the Inland Empire. 909 area code 360-8330.
One operator is standing by.
The only one that calls that are our celebrities that do our call-ins.
Yeah.
Speaking of celebrities, did I tell you I was one? I decided to be a public figure, Pat.
Wow.
Yeah, how does that grab you, huh?
Oh.
How would you like to be a public figure?
Jeff is so excited about being a public figure. He's here in the studio squeezing his own nipples.
What today? He's going to call in as soon as he wakes up and drinks his coffee. Our favorite kid at Christmas time who double dog dare this guy.
Peter Billingsley?
And he'll stick his tongue on that pole. From Christmas Story, we have Scott Schwartz calling in. When that number rings on the board, Dan, can you patch us through without any mucho problemas, eh? Huh?
Yeah, man, I think I can.
I bet. Okay, man.
We've time to jump you into our gang, Dan. Come here, Ming.
So, how was your night last night, Jeff?
Well,
what'd you do, Jeffrey?
Well, I went up to go to the Christmas lights in Altaloma, and the cops, they won't even let you walk through. You can only drive through, so that burns about a tank of gas in a big V8 motor. So I said, screw that. I left.
Well, over on Baker, they have a beautiful light show on Baker and...
Can you get out and walk? I mean, what's up with the sheriffs in Altaloma, the top of Sapphire and Thoroughbred? It's so commercialized. What you can't walk through there?
Yeah, you can't drive through there. You can't walk through there. I would hate to live there.
And it's nothing. It's a big cops. The sirens are, the lights are flashing. Sheriffs everywhere in every corner, making sure that you're not going to walk in and see the Christmas lights.
And yet there's people there selling hot cocoa without a license.
Yeah. Selling hot cocoa and edibles. I don't get it. So I just went away angry. What happened? It wasn't like that last year. I rode up my motorcycle when people are selling crispy treats and cocoa, and you could walk through there, Patrick. What happened? You did that, didn't you?
I did. You know what? I went to a friend's Christmas party, and I didn't realize they lived in that neighborhood. And once I got up there, it was hell on earth getting out,
Yes, because they got all these streets blocked off. If you're not a resident, what are they going to do? Arrest you? Throw you in jail?
Welcome to the new normal.
God. I wasn't happy with that at all.
You went up on your bike?
No, I was in my car. I took one of our listeners there, and she started crying because she wanted to see the Christmas lights.
It wasn't an 8-year-old girl, was it?
No, there's a grown adult. I mean, that's kind of heartbreaking, man.
Who's the listener?
Huh? I don't know. Maybe she'll call in and tell us her experience.
If you had a bad experience with Jeff Sargent in the last 24 hours, please call.
How dare you?
Counselors are waiting to talk to you.
Counselors are waiting to talk to you. We have Counselor Dan in the engineer booth.
We have an action boy figure.
I want to see the Christmas lights. But that's the best. But that up there in Thoroughbred, they have the whole neighborhood goes all out, and it's a magic light show that you cannot even get at Disneyland,
Yeah, we went up there last time about 3 or 4 years ago, and we were going to my mom's house. My mom lives in Reno, Nevada.
So if you went up to see her in Rancho Cucamonga, it was a hell of a drive.
Yeah, it is. But
Wow.
we had to rent a car, and then we were going to go up to Reno. We're just going to take the night drive, and we figured, let's go see the lights. So we went and we parked behind this huge SUV that was driving up there. And he didn't see us, and he saw all the traffic, and he was like, F this, man. I'm going to get out of here. So he threw his car in reverse and smashed the front end of our rent-a-car.
Oh, man. That's bullshit.
It was bullshit.
I remember, here's a Christmas miracle for you. I remember years ago, I did a thankless extra gig on Homeboys from Outer Space.
Homeboy, hey, homeboy.
Yeah.
Hey, homeboy. You got a Christmas story for you on Christmas, homeboy.
And I was waiting at the Disney gate to get in for this thankless task, like 3 days before Christmas. And there was a truck delivering like 20 Christmas trees to the Disney back lot. And this was the Disney entrance with 2 lanes. You know, 2 lanes. The only way you get into the Disney lot at this entrance.
Yeah.
Driver wasn't paying attention, veered over, crushed the left side of my car I was in.
Oh, dude.
So then security wouldn't let him pull off the car because they had to have come take pictures. So I remember sitting in my crappy little car watching all this traffic come out of Disney and all the people behind you. This Christmas tree truck has basically junked half my car. The looks of pity and disgust as people drove by and watched this crushed car and this truck. Awful.
Oh, man.
There is no good part to the story except one of the producers, not Grant Tinker, but somebody like that. I remember they
Did you finish filming? And
No, I hadn't been in yet. I parked on Zorro Drive. I went to another unfunny episode of Homeboys from Outer Space.
So did you finish it? You got in? Were you late? Did you make
no,
time call?
I made the call, but all I could think about was my poor little car. You know what I mean?
Man.
And me and a Teamster pulled back the wheel well so it wouldn't puncture the tire after the guy crushed it.
Oh, God.
That was a fun drive home.
Oh, man, the fun drive. But you know what? You got to be in Homeboys from Outer Space.
Oh, you love this.
So what happened? What happened with that? I
episode-
never saw that. Where is it? Can we get a
episode-
hold of that?
That episode didn't even run here because there was a freeway chase on.
Oh, man. So, Homeboy, tell us, Patrick, how can we ascertain a viewing of Homeboys from Outer Space?
What was amazing is it was a primarily African-American cast, and a white guy who was producing the show wrote the episode, and he was the only one laughing at the read-through. And you'd see the cast just looking down at the material, kind of shaking their heads sadly. You could just tell their faces looking at this. It wasn't Hamilton, you know. But you're sitting there, and they're doing the read through, and the only one laughing is the producer who wrote it.
Oh, no. I have to see this now. Don't you want to see this, Dan?
Yeah, Homeboys. Yeah.
From outer space.
He doesn't even know what we're talking about. He wasn't even listening because he was looking at the computer
Dan's
screen.
texting the
I
Yeasty
got
Boys.
here late, so I'm trying to make sure everything's cool.
Okay. Oh, all right, homeboy.
Yeah, suddenly a born-again professional in the booth.
Let's see. What's the last car wreck, holiday, Christmas story, car smashing, or fender bender I had? Let's see.
Jeff remembers grandma was burned over 90% of her body, but she still screamed.
And she still makes me sleep in the basement.
She would tap out Merry Christmas on the armrest of her. I don't blame you, Jeffrey.
I don't believe you.
I don't blame you.
Mine was since I've been driving my big old truck and I got that trailer hitch on the
I
bumper.
love the Batman sound.
It seems to like to catch people's bumpers in car parking lots. I remember some girl named Andrea. I still remember her name. And Andrea and her boyfriend were driving. I think they were on something because I was
on your bumper.
I was starting to back out
on your bumper,
and she goes bam right into my bumper and pops a hole in her little Honda plastic bumper in my trailer hitch, and of course nothing happens to my truck. This is like the second back up fender popper, hole poker
midnight choker.
I've had. The other one was in Upland at the Dollar Tree. That Dollar Tree right there.
You know Dollar Tree is a sin.
Really?
A Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree.
A Dollar Tree, no.
Well, you know what? You could save 1 penny, 1 cent if you go to 99 cents only. But plus tax, you're still going to pay that extra penny in tax.
You know what? I like Dollar Tree fine, but I prefer Grocery Warehouse next door.
Yes. They
just did a big sale on crunchy peanut butter.
Oh, crunchy. Well, you know, I've switched to smooth peanut butter. Who are we talking to on the show about
Peanut butter.
peanut butter? It was And somebody just was talking about crunchy over
I
smooth.
wasn't here, but I do think crunchy is better.
Oh, that was Charles. That was Charles and Queen Malvolio when he was here. He was talking about the crunchy peanut butter.
Wait. That had to be the first time. We talked about that in the episode we were on?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that's God, my episode's going to be on, when's Christmas Eve?
The day before Christmas, stupid.
When's Christmas Eve?
Well, since this is a rerun, I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay, whatever day that is.
Sunday night, the Queen Malvolio will be killing Jeffrey Sargent.
Oh, Queen Malvolio will be killing Jeffrey Sargent, a.k.a.
As opposed to the Jeffrey Sargent show where Jeffrey Sargent kills himself every 2 hours.
So that will be Sunday night. Okay, that sounds good. I'm down with that. Now, Dan, you had no business being up late last night. Who do you think you are, man?
You've got one job on the Jeffrey
Staying
Sargent
up
show.
with all those alcoholics. You weren't
Dan.
counseling nobody.
Yeah.
No, I was actually, there's a 2-drink minimum at the improv.
Okay.
I
What-
got in free. I was on the
Was
guest
it soda or pop?
No, it was just water. I just had water. But the guy's like, dude, there's a 2-drink minimum. I go, give the Smash Brothers each a drink. And they took it and they said on stage, thank you to Dan Rupp for giving us both a drink.
And then the waitress said, where you going, tight ass? You owe us for 2 drinks.
That's all I bought. That's it, you know. No, I bought a little thing of fries.
Fries?
Yeah, French fries.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't get mac and cheese.
No, I could get that at the store in the box for cheap.
Yeah. How much would they charge you there?
It's like $6.
How could
$7.
anything be funny after the price of the food and the drinks?
Yeah.
You're just looking at a sore wallet and somebody's trying to make you laugh on stage.
No, a lot of people were laughing. The place, believe it or not, was packed.
Yeah?
The mall was packed. I mean,
Well, the mall packed at Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I had to park all the way back by Krispy Kreme, and I even have handicap.
Yeah, your handicap place should have drove you right to the door, man.
Yeah, I even have and all the handicap spots were taken. Every place was taken, so I had to park all the way down there. So I'm struggling. I'm going.
Somebody should have got a scooter chair for you or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those getabouts.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called.
The getabout, the good-arounds, the scooter store. You got to call that out on the scooter store and get yourself a scooter that we see on TV at like 3 in the morning.
Yep.
The infomercials on the scooter chair.
Yeah, you put it right there in the back of your car and
Yeah.
take it out and you go.
Yeah. So you made it. That was a trek and a journey. You get in. Chad and Corey are there. Were they hosting like they do, hosting the show for all the other comedians?
Yes, there's 3 other comedians after them.
I can't believe they shook you down for 2 drinks even though you were on the guest list.
They
That's
didn't
offensive.
shake me.
If they chased you around till you bought 2 drinks, they did chase you around.
Well, it was the waiter. I've been there before and haven't bought 1 drink, and they've been fine because I see a lot of comedians there because I'm a big fan of live comedy and live music. So of course, but I've been there plenty of times, or they haven't.
They take care of you, right?
Yeah, and this, and I'm just getting water, so it's like, they're like, okay, he's a DD, a designated driver.
Right.
So,
They should,
Yeah, so they just don't even worry about it. But this waiter was like, hey, dude, it's a 2-drink minimum. Then I go, well, buy 2 drinks for the Chad and Corey. And so that's it. And I gave them my 2 drinks. I got a shout out.
And while they give them the 2 drinks, you grabbed your hat and coat.
So where are they? I thought you were going to drag them on our show this morning.
They don't get up this early.
They don't get up. We're always hearing that.
They're not that funny either.
Yeah, you're not funny. If you can't get up and be on our show, then you're not funny.
No way. What are their names again? Chad and Jeremy?
Chad and Jeremy. Chad and Corey.
Chad and Corey. The Smash Brothers. We find you unamusing.
Yeah, get your asses up here and tell us and come down here and be funny.
No, I tried. The show was okay. It wasn't that good. It was okay.
So while you were there, I was like a mile away.
Where were you,
Oh,
Pat?
You were lucky.
I went to the Ontario Reign last night.
Oh man, you got to see a live action hockey game and
It
get their teeth knocked out.
It was amazing. No teeth knocked out last night. Some good fights. This one player, one of the Ontario Reign, got into a fight with their player. He flipped him over onto the ice on his back.
Wow, body slam.
He body slammed him. And where I was sitting, when he was flipping, you could see the shirt going up, and you could see the guy had no padding as he went down 5 feet in the air, and he landed on his back on the ice.
Wow, that's hardcore.
And
that's real wrestling right there.
And then I pulled the Don Jankowicz, which is what my brother does. One of the weird, funky tricks my brother does in hockey games, if there's a Chick-fil-A row where they drop free Chick-fil-A, cards, Donald will write the number down and immediately go there after the game. So since it was like 2 rows over, I walked through the free Chick-fil-A aisle, nothing. Last one, I found one.
You found one.
So I will
the actual card.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
For a free spicy chicken.
All right. Did you guys go there after the game?
Sadly, it was 10 o'clock by the time we got out of there.
Oh, wow.
But the cool thing was the game went into sudden death. Sudden death, yeah. In hockey terminology, sudden death is like a blue moon. It's when the number is exactly equal, and the next guy to land wins the game.
Oh man! So what teams were playing?
It was the Ontario Reign versus the Texas Stars.
The Texas Stars now, and it was, oh my God, to be a sudden death time.
I love a sudden death.
That's good when it's so close, and you're going, okay, this is the last holy slap shot. What's going to happen? So who did they face off? Do they throw the puck in the air? What do they do?
What they basically do is they drop it in the middle. There's a face off.
Yeah,
and then the cool thing is, the Texas Stars were leading in the third, and they were leading, and a sports writer behind us figured it was all done, and he got up and left. And about 5 minutes after he left, they sunk it, and then it was dead even. We went into sudden death, and what he clearly thought was the Reign going to lose, the Reign won by 1.
1 point. Wow. And did it go? Did the time go over because of this, or?
Yeah, because it was dead even at the end of game.
Yeah.
And then for sudden death, you get 5 minutes to score, and thankfully the Ontario Reign.
So for both teams, is it going to be okay? You guys got 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Who's it going to be?
Now Dan was over. Dan, you were at the Ontario Mills, right?
Yeah.
Now, was the mall open after 10, or was it all closed when you came out?
No, it was still open.
Wow.
I think they extended their hours. Usually, it's
Everybody is. Yeah, doesn't Walmart stay open 24/7 during Christmas?
I went by Walmart last night, and I went by Toys R Us and Ross, and they were all open holiday hours.
Wow.
Toys R Us is open till 2 in the morning.
Ooh, cool.
Ross, I think, was open till 1:30. I didn't realize the mall was open longer. I thought about the mall, and I thought, how badly do you want to go? Because I just want to look and see.
And get a deal for yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm almost done with everybody. And in fact, my sister and her family live in Seattle, so I probably got to get her gifts out today. You know what I mean?
Yes, I was wondering. Oh, guess what? The Kong Skull Island, the figures. Remember I got mine for $24 and I couldn't find it when the movie came out. They were off the shelf and they were just loaded on the shelf forever.
Tons of them at Toys R Us.
Now they're $19.
You can wait. By February, they're going to be $5 or $7.
Are you serious? They'll take them down that.
Right now, they're only.
I'll bet you they'll go down to $12.
You know what? There was no movie I enjoyed seeing on the big screen more this year than
Skull Island.
Yeah, did you see it?
I saw it. I saw it the week it opened up, and I dug it, man. I liked it that it was in the 70s.
Yeah. By the way, shot in Detroit. It was shot by this director who I told you in Death Valley. He was a nice guy, but all he did was smoke. I mean, there didn't seem to be any vision or anything. So to see this great little King Kong movie made in Detroit by a Michigander, this guy, because I knew he was from Detroit because he wore a Detroit Tigers cap when he was directing Death Valley. But to see this big old, I like that it was set in the 70s because it looked like that was an homage to the old one we talked to Jack about last week.
With Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange.
Jeff Bridges, Jessica
the 76
Lange,
one.
and Bertram Gibbs and Jack from Superman. You know,
and the whole thing was that, and the John C. Reilly, he's this pilot, and he was there as a young kid, and he was there from the World War II all the way to the 70s, and that's 30 years. So he was like a 22 pilot now, and he's like in his late 40s, early 50s.
I love that you saw King Kong within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I love the opening credits, for Skull Island. That was directed by Kyle Cooper, the credits were. Kyle Cooper did the opening credits for both American Godzillas. You know, everyone hates the Matthew Broderick Godzilla, but everyone loves that opening.
Yeah.
Where you see the lizards watching the atomic test. You know, the credits are basically telling you how Godzilla became Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then he did a great one for the new American Godzilla, the one with Breaking Bad, where you see sea monsters and everything leading up to the creation of Godzilla once again.
Yeah.
You know, those Kong Skull Island figures are cool, but they don't have that coolness of the last American Godzilla, where they made the 2-foot one with the open and closing jaws.
Yeah.
Those were beautiful.
Didn't we go to the same store? You had one first, and you said, you got to get down to Big Lots and get it. And they could swallow action figures.
They could swallow action figures.
Your belt,
my
pull
nephew,
them out on the scales on the back.
I gave it to my nephew, and he immediately lost the tail. It's like, come on,
That's
kid.
why you don't give it to those kids, you know?
It's like, come on, kid, you can't lose Godzilla's tail. He's not Godzilla without it. How do you want the figure to stand without his tail? Because it works as a tripod. It holds the figure up.
I like the fact that they didn't kill Kong. They wanted to do the same thing. They were up to that point where they knock him out with gas, and they want to. One guy wanted to kill him.
There's always a guy who wants to kill him.
Yeah. Then there's the other guy. No, let's bring him back to New York and make a show.
That's always a terrible idea.
That's a bad idea. They said, no, man. Cole, if he leaves this island, these dinosaurs, these other things, you'll upset the balance. And this whole place
I thought that was cool as hell. Yeah. They have this Lovecraftian Pacific Rim thing going on in Skull Island where there's these super dinosaurs that are coming up that King Kong kills them as soon as he sees them. But they'll overrun the Earth if King Kong isn't there, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, and he was the last of his kind. Those creatures, they killed off. He said they killed off Kong's family.
Yeah, basically he's the last of the breed. I like the Peter Jackson one too. I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought those figures were better designed than the Skull Island one.
Yeah,
because the Kong they made for the Jackson thing could roar. You know what I mean? He could roar, and the sculpt I thought was beautiful. I met there's this amazing Asian toy sculptor. He also did the V-Rexes for the Peter Jackson Kong. It's just beautiful.
Oh, wow. So the toys that came out.
What was the best toy you ever got for Christmas, Jeff?
Shit.
Oh, really?
By who? As a gift from somebody else, or one that I bought for myself?
No, as a gift from like your parents or something. And this goes to you too, Dan. The best toy you ever got?
Mine, when I was a little kid, I got my parents saved up. I was a poor kid. I didn't get it, but I got a robot.
A robot?
A Lost in Space robot.
I will wipe your ass, Jeffrey.
and that Lost in Space robot, by Ideal Toys, I think it was.
Long gone. I think they're very good,
And
right?
back when we were at Clubhouse Comics, when we were collecting all those toys and doing the shows, remember those things would pop up? Highly collectible.
I interviewed Dick Tufeld, who was the voice of the Lost in Space robot. And he signed the Lost in Space robot from the new movie, and he signed one of the classic Lost in Space robot. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And the cool thing about him, when they did the remake, they were looking to get Bruce Willis or somebody as the voice of the robot, and they hired Dick Tufeld. You know, his son is a voiceover agent, and they said, we need somebody to do the scratch track for the actors from William Hurt and everyone to react to. And the son got Dick Tufeld the job as the robot. And the director reminded himself why he loved The Lost in Space so much with this guy's voice. he kept it on through the movie.
Man, that's cool.
And Tufeld was a hell of a nice guy. He did my answering machine message for a while.
Now, has he done other? Is he a full-time voiceover guy?
Yeah, he used to do like award shows. He's gone now. He passed a while back. But you know what? It was amazing because when he was on my answering machine, maybe I'll revive that. When he was on my answering machine, people would call and hang up. If they're calling the LA Times, everyone in the boiler room would call your number to hear the Lost in Space robot. I had him do it, and John DiMaggio, who did Bender and Adventure Time.
Yes, Don DiMaggio. He does Jake the dog.
He does Jake the dog, and he was also, of course, Bender on Futurama.
Bender, yeah, and then you could kind of see the say, okay, I can see that that's the same guy, even though the voices are different. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Tom Kenny doing SpongeBob and the Ice King from Adventure
I remember
Time.
We did a Tim and Eric where Tom Kenny came in, and then since it was all Adult Swim guys, he did SpongeBob swearing for about a minute, and we were all dying. And then because he was coming in, one of the crew, because SpongeBob himself was coming in, one of the crew brought his kid, and Tom Kenny turns around and he's doing SpongeBob swearing, and then he changes to mid rant, playful rant, jokingly. Then he sees a little kid and goes, "Oh, how long have you been standing there?" in the SpongeBob voice.
Oh, how long have you been standing there?
And he cleaned it up completely, and he goes, and he was just such a nice guy. It was so sweet to see him. This crew guy brought a kid, so he cleaned it up from that point on.
Yes, and like if you brought him that kid here, where would he end up? In the dumpster in the back.
Dutchie's rules, man.
Dutchie's rules. We got a place for kids here at the Chaotic Radio.
That was a fun. That was a fun radio. That was a fun Christmas party.
It was a great Christmas party. That was the only one I've got invited to this year. Oh, poor Jeffrey doesn't get invited to any Christmas party.
Jeffrey. That's because everyone knows Jeffrey.
Yeah. I'll be sitting alone on the curb on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
The Jeffrey Sargent show will be homeless this Christmas.
Yeah, yes he will. Yes he will.
You'll get stuff thrown at you, and
yeah,
he'll wake up in the Mission with no shoes.
So let me go back to hockey. Are you a hockey fan, Jeff?
I love hockey.
Obviously.
I remember.
Are you a Kings fan or are you a Ducks fan?
This is the weird thing.
He supports our local team because he's here.
Yeah,
I'm
in Rain, baby. Here's in Detroit.
Well, the Rain is part of the.
Yeah, they're now part of the Kings.
Yeah.
Well, in Detroit, I grew up with the Red Wings. You know, the land of Gordie Howe and all that. And I went to my first, when I was like 13, I went to my first Red Wings game, my first hockey game. And the fights were incredible. The fights were better than the game. I mean,
oh yeah, hell yeah!
And these guys looked like Marvel superheroes. They had the huge gloves, they had the jerseys, and they would punch the hell out of each other. I'm convinced the Red Wings had red jerseys to cover the blood, and it was just exciting as hell. And my brother Don and I remember my big brother driving us. We went to this game, and we saw this guy high-sticked by one of the Red Wings. And he spat blood all over the plexiglass. I was hooked. From that point on, I loved hockey more than football's boring, baseball's boring, basketball's boring.
Hockey's boring because they could slam that hockey puck and you get hit in the face, man, and the teeth, knock your teeth out.
At the Rain Stadium last year at Citizens Bank Arena, Donald and I were sitting there. My brother and I were sitting there, and I said they did the big warning. I said, Donald, does anyone ever get hit with a hockey? And one of them went up, hit my armrest. If I had my hand still there, I would have broken my hand.
Those things hit with force, don't they? Because those things are heavy.
And Donald said very dryly, yes. And then he said, grab the puck. But last night I got a shirt. I got a Chick-fil-A card. I got a it was a great old time. I mean,
you should have picked up that puck if it was by the armband.
It was horrifying because it hit the armband like a rifle shot. It hit and donged off the armband and flew. It hit my armrest.
It was like a drive-by.
It was like a drive-by. It hit the armrest, the whole road reverberated because it hit so hard.
Because it only goes up so high, the clear plexiglass from the
It
ring.
slipped in. It was magic shot. It went right between that.
Oh, it went, Mike, because they're not tied solid. They're in sections, right? And it went right through the.
I just love hockey, you guys. The game is so fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
I took Rhonda to her first game.
did she like it?
A couple of years ago at Staples Centers. It was the Kings versus the Ducks. And it was a great game, and there was a lot of fighting. I mean, like, a lot. I mean, the referees couldn't. They wouldn't even separate him. They would just skate around
they just
them.
beat the shit out of
They
each
just-
other,
they
man.
just skate around them.
The only thing that bums me out about the Kings now that Ontario Reign is a field team for the Kings, they're frowning on fighting. That's why last night was such a rare treat to have so many fights. And what was great about last night is the place was half empty. People are gone for Christmas. And so it was half empty, so you could move up your own seats, and
Yeah.
it was just there was sudden violence. There was fun. I just had a great time, honestly.
Yeah, that's like going to see the Quakes. You go to a Quakes game and you buy your cheap seats, which I do, but it's empty sometimes, and I just move up, and they don't care. They're like,
I went to a
Of
Craig-
course not.
I went to a Craig's game earlier this year, and it was like $2 beer night, and we were sitting next to some guy and his family, and it was his birthday. I bought him a beer, and so the rest of the night he kept buying down on 9 beers, which was very sweet of him.
Have you been to Staples Centers yet?
Yeah, in fact, as I was telling you, the Wings were my team, the Red Wings.
Right.
And my brother Donald is one of these guys who enters all the contests. And I get kind of snarky with him. It's like, come on, Donald, nobody ever wins these things.
Yeah.
Well, he was filling it out for me and everyone else he knew. And thanks to him, I won a man cave. I won a 56-inch screen. I won an Xbox and all this stuff.
Cool.
I won free Pizza Hut for a year. Remember that?
Oh, for Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
That's
remember?
where we always got to eat.
Yeah, so every time Jeff and I were in LA or something, I said, yeah,
We
let's
go to a convention and we get free, and we go, let's stop at Pizza Hut on the way back.
And so I had to renounce my love of the Wings because the Kings gave me free pizza for a year, as well as Xbox, as well as everything else. I've been digging Hulu. Do you guys have Hulu?
Yeah, I don't really watch it because it's a pain in the ass, and you have to pay a certain monthly fee to do it.
I got free Hulu for a month, and
Well, that's good. You can watch Robert Craighead in
Future Man.
Future Man.
Wow. look
You
at the
can
big-
binge watch it. What? Can I come over and watch it? Let's
Sure,
do
we'll
that.
watch
Okay.
We'll watch Future Man next week.
We could binge watch this weekend and watch the whole
Yeah.
season.
We love Robert Craighead here. And Robert's a good guy, and he knows what I like about a good guy is he knows. It's like Steve Joyner.
Yeah.
It's a good guy who knows a lot of good people, but cool people I've known from the past are friends with them, which is always a good sign.
Yeah.
If cool people know cool people,
Yeah. He does a lot. He's done several. He's got a good screen chemistry with Dee Wallace.
Well, Dee Wallace, but you and I you took me to a sneaky old time for my birthday. You remember
Yeah.
that? And I had we went to Santa Monica for this play, and the other guy in the play was the producer of Jaws 3D. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I still have to interview him. I'll have to call him up. But it was just amazing just to hang,
And that was that was the second time I seen the play because I enjoyed it so much. And Dee Wallace was there. Holds what, 40 people?
Yeah, it was
If even that.
It was this little bungalow near Santa Monica.
It was made out of
Airport.
a little airport hangar.
Yeah.
The theater.
I know it packed up. You know what I mean? I mean,
It's right where Harrison Ford crashed his plane.
it was right where Harrison Ford crashed his plane. Although Harrison Ford would tell you, it's right where I put the plane down to save people, which meant he's too old to be flying.
But yeah, it was a great theater, great time. Robert,
Sneaky old time.
sneaky old time, man. That was
Robert
really good.
Craighead, the great Robert
And
Craighead.
who'd think that the Jaws 3D guy was going to be
In the
there.
friggin' play. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
that. He also has an old, crappy but entertaining 80s movie, the producer Jaws 3D, playing on Comet, which is really good.
And so what other Christmas thing? This is like our Christmas show.
Is this our last one?
No, we got tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Jack Grisham from TSOL. He's coming in, and he's got some books we're going to talk about that he's written.
TSOL, man, they did the music for Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, they had some songs on that track, I think.
Yeah, they sure did.
Along with 45 Grave.
45 Grave with Dinah Cancer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a TSL shirt. One day I wore it, and I did a wedding, and I was a minister. And after the wedding, because it was hot, it was in the middle of August. So I went in the bathroom, and I changed. I'm wearing a TSOL shirt. And my cousin Joe was there, and Joe's like, dude, you're a minister, now you're wearing a TSOL shirt? He goes,
True Sounds of Liberty, baby.
He goes, do you know the song Code Blue? I'm like, yeah, I want to fuck the dead. He goes, so the minister's wearing a shirt from a band that sings I Want to Fuck the Dead. That's my minister. You know?
Hey, that was to their morbid stage. I'm sure Jack will have all kinds of stories about that. They went through their political era. I mean, just in a short time, one album's doing their morbid death cult thing, and then the ones their politics, political, Army, Air Force, Navy, for sale.
Yeah, it's kind of like the dead Kennedys went through all that. They went through the whole Gondra stuff. Jello's still very political.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, he was always running for mayor. Didn't he run for mayor?
He'd always lose by a
San
landslide,
Francisco.
but he always ran, yeah.
Yeah, so did Kevin from Desperation Squad.
For Claremont, huh?
No, Pomona.
Oh, Pomona.
Yeah.
Wait, he couldn't win in Pomona?
No, he couldn't win.
What a loser.
Yeah, that's a loser.
Yeah, that's a loser. He couldn't win in Pomona. Anybody can win in Pomona. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on,
Scotty Schwartz, where are you, man? We want some Christmas stories, man. He's getting his coffee. I said, more time on the air. He said, about 8:30. I gotta get up. Laugh out loud. I gotta get my coffee.
We're vamping for 35 more minutes. Not gonna happen, Scotty.
Come on, call in right now, or we're gonna call you.
Let's see what else is going on.
Christmas time.
No. We don't want to be in Facebook jail if we have a guest on. So I want to no singing Bill
La la la.
Nope.
Do 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 do.
No. Not gonna happen.
Gee, Charlie Brown, what is the true meaning of Christmas?
I do like that.
We're in Facebook jail.
Yeah, see, that's all it takes.
Nah, it doesn't. We could get away.
No, you're
with
not.
it.
Are you streaming it on Facebook?
No, it's my phone's fucked up, man.
This is the
I'm going. I got to get some things straightened out. All this pop-up bullshit on here, and it's really annoying, and I can't.
Hey, I thought we were gonna have the Witches of Beer today.
Oh, that's with the Julia Metalunius and her comrades.
Coven.
Yeah, her covent. Her covent. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Joyner wants us to go on Skype. I'm like, what? You know what? We're on
How are we going to do
I
that,
don't
Steve?
I don't think we have. I don't have Skype on my phone. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. It's 7:55 Thursday morning out there, Nadia. The guys are on the air right now, and I'm hoping to speak to Jeff and Pat today.
Hey.
My her Skype username is Key2B.
You and me.
2BLB. Well, I don't know how to Skype. I got the thing on my computer. I have the little thing, and I've done Skype over at my sister's house, talking to my nephew from across the country. But
Hey, Uncle Jeff.
Hey, Uncle Jeff.
Hey, Uncle Jeff.
Uncle Jeff.
Hey, nephew.
Yeah, I don't
Hey,
know how to set up. We're not computer guys.
Yeah, you know what?
Pat's not a tech guy. I'm not a tech guy.
I was an
I'm
English
not a
major.
tech
You're
guy.
screwed. Go on.
Yeah, he's an English major. You're screwed. We can't push the twiddle knobs.
Cut the red wire, blue wire. We're all both
Yeah, we're all gonna blow up.
Yeah, Facebook is so much easier to do most of my social networking. But
Yeah.
like Blaine, who I did the morning show with, and he was also
Blaine, he was the sensitive boy who was going to break Molly Ringwald's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but he could do everything. He could run a show by himself. He could engineer. He could be by himself. He can Skype, tweet, Instagram.
If he's so
and
sharp, where is he
Facebook.
now?
All that at the
All
same
at
time.
The same time. Why is he not here? Because he's smart.
Yeah.
He said, "Look at me, cousin Dan. I'm dancing on the edge of this building."
Yeah, I'm dancing on the edge of the check it out. And here and us trying to Skype. It'd be great. I'd love to Skype her live, you know, instead to see her as well as
You wanted to Skype her for a while.
to see her as well as talk to her, you know, English accents and everything from across the pond. Maybe Doug Arpanon could help us.
Hey,
Dougie, where is Dougie, man? We should call him up right now.
He got swept up in the protests. Dougie was our beloved Dougie was a Brexit supporter.
I'm going to find him. See if he's. I'm going to see if he's around, man. Let me see.
We can make him sing Father Christmas to us.
Yeah.
I think his time, is around 4 in the afternoon right now.
4 in the afternoon.
See, if you call him now, it's 8 a.m. to 7.
Doug. D-O-U-G.
It's 11 o'clock at night.
There he is.
Wake
Bam.
this bitch ass up.
Okay, I'm going to okay, how do I message? Okay, we do message and then
your moment has arrived, Dougie, your opponent. Save the show.
Then, okay, and then there I press this. Here we go.
This is exciting radio. You
Compelling.
Yes, very.
Especially
compelling.
listening to Jeff breathe through his nose while dialing a phone. Wake your bitch ass up, Doug.
One ringy dingy.
Hey, let's see if we can pull him off. Watch. Hello. Hello. This is
Come on, Dougie.
Hello.
We're calling across the pond. Hey, Dougie. Dougie.
How are you, guys?
Yeah, we're talking. This is our English across the pond correspondence. You're live on Chaotic
It's
Radio.
Father Christmas, me lad. It's Father Christmas, and I'm drunk.
Well, I'll try not to say any fucking naughty words then.
What the hell? Is it 11 o'clock over there, Doug, or midnight?
I'm going to see Anti-Nowhere League this weekend. I'll say hello to them for you.
I demand it.
We miss you, Dougie. We thought, God, we got to call up Doug for Christmas, man. Wish him Merry
It's true.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it's just because I've been on a different work schedule at the minute. That's the only reason why I couldn't be listening. But because I've seen it's used, I've just answered my phone anyway. So, you know, as you say, it's Christmas time. And I appreciate the fact that you'd even take the time out to give us a wee call, guys. I hope it's all going well for you, and I hope you are behaving. Well,
Yeah.
really.
How are you,
Dougie?
Dougie? What's happening? Is there snow on the ground? Describe it for us.
What's going on over there across the pond right now?
It's I mean, weather-wise, it's actually quite good. There's brilliant. There's no snow. There's nothing. It's just a wee bit. It's quite calm out there. A wee bit of piss and rain, but other than that, no, it's okay. Everyone's just like over there getting ready for Christmas and doing other things and Christmas parties and all that. But then, like I said too, I mean, a few good gigs. Like, I mean, Anti-Nowhere League on Saturday. Now, that's my build-up to Christmas. 2 days before Christmas, you get to go see Anti-Nowhere League.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited.
That's a good show. That'll be a really good show. You'll have to tell us about that after.
Well, funny enough, they're doing a documentary on it as well. There's going to be a documentary team there asking people that have known about the Anti-Nowhere League for since the beginning. Well, I seen them in Glasgow like 30-odd years ago. So, I mean, I know a wee bit about them. But, you know, and so there'll be a documentary crew, but I'll give you an update and let you know how it go, and I'll even give you a shout.
You can post it on Facebook, right?
Hey,
post it on Facebook.
Dougie, you know the drill. Could you say, there's something in the lock?
Oh, you got cut off there. Sorry, I can't. You got cut off there. I didn't
We
hear that
need you
last
to.
bit.
We need you to say, there's something in the lock.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. For Christmas,
Aye. How about that?
Now say there's something. There's something in the lock.
there's something in the law. It's Nessie. That's what it is.
We need you to say there's something in the lock in your wonderful accent.
Nessie's a good pal of mine. Nessie is a bloody good wee pal of mine. She doesn't like the English too much, but she's a bloody good pal of mine.
We have missed you, Mr. A. How have you been?
We're going to have to...
Like I said, it's only because, I mean, a couple of times I've managed to listen in a wee bit, but when I'm at work, I can't do it, so it's a wee bit of a downer. But you know, because I seen it was definitely you guys, I thought the least I could do is answer it and say, and how's Dan the Man doing? Is Dan the Man okay too? Is he still doing well?
Oh, yeah, I'm right here.
He's got 5 new rehab stories for you.
All the best, sir. Hope you have a good one. Merry syphilis and happy gonorrhea.
Hey, happy gonorrhea. Hey, you'll have to drink a pint of vinegar and salt with me.
I'd be glad to do it. I'd be glad to do it with you. You're a bloody good bunch of guys, and I think it's great. I love your wee updates that you put on the Facebook and that for all the things that you get up to, and fair play to you guys. I hope it just gets bigger and bigger for you, and I hope it just keeps going on, because, no, it's good. Some of the stuff's bloody good to listen to, and then your wee tunes and that are good too that he's plucking there. So, you know, and some of the stuff you talk about is quite interesting too. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I think to myself, I'm not into that. But then when I listen to what you're going on about, I feel quite educated.
Yeah. Yesterday we had an Australian filmmaker, and we learned a lot about independent filmmaking, you know?
Oh, well, you can't get better than an Australian porn film director, can you?
Yeah,
that's what he was.
I like how Dougie's mind immediately went to porn.
Dougie, you'll send me your address. I want to send you...
When I watch it, because I'm a bit of a gentleman.
I want to send you the band that I manage, the Dirty Priest. My buddy Jimmy James, he's in Ipswich right now. The drummer of the band. We got 2 Englishmen in the band, and it's like... It's British rock made in America. So I want to give me your address and I'll mail you a CD, okay, of the band.
Okay, I'll send you a wee message and that with my address on there, pal, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
But I've got to get back to work now because I'm getting strange looks here looking at me. But, I've got to get back on. But it is great to hear from you guys. It really is. And thank you very much for the call. And I hope you have a bloody good Christmas and a great New Year. And funny enough, I'm actually off tomorrow, so I might even listen in tomorrow for a bit and try and give you a wee call on the air if you want.
Wow,
yeah,
we'd be honored, sir.
We're gonna have Jack from True Sounds of Liberty, TSOL, an Orange County-based band here in California. Been around for 35, 40 years. You know.
Wow.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Well, I'll definitely tune in. I mean, I've got to go out with the missus and do a bit of Christmas shopping. I can't wait for that. I'm so excited. Fuck it. I'd rather stay at work, for fuck's sake. But,
all right, man. Well, you have a good weekend.
I'll be listening in, and I'll give you a wee call.
Okay.
All right, hey, Dougie,
honestly,
take
thanks
care.
for calling, guys. It's really great to hear from you. And Dan the Man, keep up the good work, pal. You're doing great.
All right,
Dougie, be well.
All right, Dougie. We'll see you.
All the best, guys.
Oh.
Take care. All the best.
Oh, hey, before you go, could you say freedom? Nope, gone.
No,
Dougie was such a gentleman. He was trying to get rid of us for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, what a great guy.
We just kept straight.
Yeah, that's Dougie from across the pond. He was at work, and he was able to answer and talk to us for a minute while he was working, and his co-workers looking at him saying, you're talking to those chaotic radio guys. The chaotic boys. They're nothing but trouble, I tell you.
A bunch of hoodlums.
Hoodlums.
That was fun.
From across the pond.
It's great because he messages me quite often, and we're fond of each other, and I'm looking to go somewhere this summer for my holiday, for my vacation. And I'm thinking either Scotland or England. I could probably do both because they're right next to each other.
I say go to England. There's nothing in Scotland but like deer and stuff.
It's like I got a whole list of Dougs I could call here and see if they answer their phone.
This is Doug Thursday on the Jeff Sargent Show, where Jeff random drunk dials Dougs in his phone.
Looks like we got another radio guy named Douglas Vivani. Let's see, Douglas King. Doug McKittrick.
What about Douglas Sargent?
Let's see. Let's see.
Uncle Dougie.
One righteous dude. Okay.
No. Don't try a random dial. We might as well talk to each other if we're going to random dial Doug's in your phone book.
I know.
Daniel. Okay. Let's go.
No. Come on. I don't know who this asshole is. Just. I mean, I'm not referring to our Ducky, but random drunk dialing assholes in your phone book is not compelling radio.
Random Dougs. We're gonna call everybody random for Christmas. Oh God, that was great. What else? What else we got?
Why don't we just chat with each other? Have you thought about that? Dan the man said,
man, I don't want to talk to you. You.
We have one more guy for you to sponsor, Dan.
How come your sponsors? I mean, how come your sponsees aren't calling you up, Dan? Dan, I just popped open a can of beer. Oh, save me.
Dan,
what do I do?
My girlfriend overdosed. Can you help me hide the body?
I was drinking. I just spiked my eggnog. I'm calling you. Save me.
3 o'clock in the morning, a guy wants you to help his OG girlfriend's body be thrown out Mount Baldy. Do you do it?
Yeah, like, dude, what do I do, man? She's not breathing. What do I do?
No, the worst was one of the guys that I was sponsoring. He dropped out of Whiteside, my rehab center in Riverside, and he started shooting up heroin again. And heroin's not a drug that I ever did, so I wasn't really familiar with it.
So you had to take a couple hits?
Yeah, that's one of the few drugs I never did. So I'm like, yeah, let me see what this is all about. It must be good because you fell out of it, then you fell back into it because he was on a 90-day program. And, and I had to go pick him up at the park. And lucky for him, my wife was in Jamaica on vacation with her girlfriend. So I was
did you ever read how Stella got her groove back?
Yeah. No, so I picked him up in Riverside at the park, and I brought him to my house.
Was the park like a shooting gallery?
Yeah, he sold his laptop and his cell phone. He sold everything for drugs. And,
did his arms look like a light bright?
But you still had your, what comic book did you have? Remember he said he sold his...
Daredevil number 3.
Daredevil number 3.
Are we talking original run?
Yeah.
From the 60s?
Yes.
Wow.
You stupid. That's where he's wearing the yellow and the red, yellow costume.
Yeah.
That was like the last appearance of the yellow and red costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I had that in a Mylar bag.
Mylar, yeah.
Yeah.
They called them, in the 90s,
Mylar bag.
In the 90s, they called them comic condoms.
Yeah. I took care of that baby like it was my own, man. I wouldn't even look at it. I just sat it, and sometimes I take it out and I go through it, and I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. I bought it at a convention, at a comic book convention at the Biltmore in downtown LA at the Biltmore.
What year?
I probably bought it in 1979.
Wow, I wasn't in California.
Wow, that was you still got them cheap back then. That's when I remember I sold most of my collection so I could get a guitar, man. I can get a Epiphone. No, it was a...
Judging by your rock and roll career,
it was an Ibanez Destroyer.
Judging by your rock and roll career, you would have been better off with the heroin.
Yeah, you should have got some drugs for your comic books like I did, but I didn't buy heroin. I bought other things.
Like pills and uppers and downies and Dixies and Denny's. And
as a kid, I can still do it. I can tell you where every comic in my collection came from.
White Hot Mollies, Pink Hearts.
What do they call them? Cross tops?
Cross tops.
I was hoping they'd have cool names like Snakes and Sparklers.
That was out of your Red Devil bag. Your party pack. What was that Red Devil? Remember that firework pack that had the Smokey Joe on the back, the bum? It was like a homeless guy, and he stuck the cigar in there, and he would just burn. It was horrible, man.
Why are you smiling?
Smokey Joe.
No, I remember my grandpa used to buy the 49er.
Oh, yeah.
That was like the big one. Because my grandpa was totally into fireworks. He would buy like the 49er. And me and my cousins would like race around going, oh, let's pick these out. Let's pick these out, you know. And he was a trucker too, so he had all these flares. So he, on our street, you know, this was back when fireworks were legal. in Altaloma. He'd
Oh, yeah.
he'd light the flares, and we'd light the fireworks on the flares and just let him go.
On the flares, yeah. I just be one big giant explosion.
None of us ever got hurt, though, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, we'd shoot skyrockets at each other and Roman candles and shit.
Yeah, firecrackers.
Dance. You shoot them at your feet, and you'll be trying not to hit your feet.
Yeah, those are the days, man. I'll tell you what, they don't exist anymore. But yeah, so we had a lot of good times, a lot of great 4th of Julys. I lucked out. I don't know what month your birthday's in, Jeff. Mine is July.
Mine's June, man.
Oh, see, we lucked out then, both of us. My wife's is coming up here on
What about June?
Friday or Saturday. Hers is on the 22nd, and it sucks for her because it's hard to really schedule anything, and it's hard to buy her something, and it's hard for people to buy her something because we're buying Christmas gifts. So
Get her a Christmas birthday gift. See how that flies.
no, I already do that, and it doesn't fly. No, actually, this year I went to pajamagrams.com and
oh no!
ordered
Those
her.
commercials are hilarious.
Wait, what's this?
They're these hilarious, terrible commercials. It's like chia pets for pervs.
Oh God!
And it's like there's a buy your girl a pajamagram, and they have like these girls dancing around in pajamas.
Oh God! In my pajama pants. I'm going to be doing a silly song parody on that called "I Do Everything in My Jammy Pants."
She'll think you spent $1 million
In my jammy pants. I'm $1 million in my jammy pants.
And we throw in a do not disturb sign. I remember one of my brothers used to joke, "Good thing women aren't allowed to watch TV. They wouldn't know what a cheap ass was."
Jammy pants. What's up with them jammy pants?
Well, I
man?
bought her a robe at Amazon, and it came in the mail already, and she got home before I did. So,
Was she wearing it, or was she using the scrub?
no, she sent it right back. She said, "Dan Rupp, you cheap son of a bitch."
Romance is done.
Yeah. You ain't getting nothing for a long time.
And the letter on it said, for the best girl in the world for her Christmas birthday account.
Yeah, so then, no, she sent it straight back. So now I got her more.
Dear
of
Rhonda, happy Kwanzaa.
I got her more of a sexy pajama thing, I think.
Like silky.
Yeah, it's like silky. Yeah.
Do you like it when you feel the silky robe like on her skin and it gets you all aroused? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Welcome to the Jeffrey Fetishist show. The safety word is help.
All the slinky jammy pants, and all slinkiness of the silky jammies. Yeah.
Jeff's seen my wife. She's not too bad.
No. That's not what we're saying.
Silky pajamas on anybody.
We were goofing. Those pajamagram commercials are so sexist in that, she'll never know how much you really, what I mean? It's like, women can watch TV, you guys. They'll see the same ass we're seeing.
But if you order now, we'll throw in an extra one for only $19.99.
Right.
And wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
What's the old
We'll set up a third one for $5 extra and 99 cents.
What's the old joke about the commercial about those what do you call the commercial with the audience?
What the the infomercial with the
yeah. They go create a problem and solve it in the same commercial. I love the old angry lady who buys the rear view mirror that the film camera.
Yeah, gives you a 360 view.
And they show the guy going, "You're guilty." "Oh yeah, officer." "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah. Check this out.
She's wagging a finger at the falling down alcoholic that hired as the cop.
Did I ever share my story about
rehab? Gather around, children.
The time you shit your pants.
No, that was just the other day.
Uncle Dan is telling us that one of his rehab Christmas tales.
No, this isn't rehab. This is when I was in the hospital in Pomona, and I was comatose for 30 days. And
30 days in the hole.
30 days in dreamland.
No, it's funny because you don't dream. You don't float over your body. You don't.
What? You're not dreaming? What?
So
Wait. You told me I was in your dream. Jeff Sargent came driving in a. What car was I driving?
You were naked on a white unicorn.
I swear I do not ride unicorns naked. I use a saddle.
There is no judgment.
I use a saddle and I wear pants.
There is no judgment in Dan's coma dream.
No, that's when I fell back in because I got out just for a little bit. So just for a little bit, I got out of it.
So it wasn't like, Dan, it wasn't like lucid dreaming? You couldn't do anything?
Nothing. It was black. Nothing.
You weren't naked flying over the city?
No. No, but I woke up and it was like 2 in the morning, I think, and I was sharing a room with 2 other dudes, 2 other old dudes. One dude was snoring, one dude talking to himself, and the TV.
They put you in the loony room because they figured you wouldn't complain.
Yeah, and the TV was on. They left the TV on, and they had QVC on, and there's some blue-haired lady selling curlers in the curling machine. I'm like, oh, shit, I died and went to hell. What the fuck?
I died and went to hell. Yeah, there's a dirty clothes basket sitting in your chest. There's a cat licking your face.
Then I did go back to sleep, and that's when I did start to have these weird, lucid, psychotic type dreams. Jeff was in one of them.
He was? What was Jeff doing?
Masturbating.
That's what he does when we're awake.
Oh my God, he's here.
Oh, holy cats.
Okay, I got it. Okay, let's put him on. Put him through.
The great Scotty Schwartz, Flick in A Christmas Story. More importantly, he did The Toy with Richard Donner and Richard Pryor. Kidco, Kid Incorporated. The great Scotty Schwartz. Hello, Scotty. Speak to us from the land beyond. Scotty, come into the line.
Wait, hold on. There we go. Scotty, are you there?
Good morning.
Wow.
All right, he's here. Merry Christmas.
Guten Tag, mein Freund. Okay. How offended were you by A Christmas Story, the musical live?
I wasn't offended.
Did they offer you a
listen, it's a Broadway production. I've seen it before. I saw it before it got to Broadway. So I sort of knew most of the songs, most everything. Is sometimes theatrical productions, they just don't play the same way on television.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
Wow.
A lot of, people, they're looking for a television show. They didn't get a television show. They got a Broadway musical being shown on television.
Yeah, it loses the oomph, doesn't it?
Yeah.
By the way, Scott.
The people did a great job. Matthew did a good job. Jane Krakowski is amazing. She's wonderful in everything she does. The kids were okay. Was there a few numbers? Okay. Nothing is perfect. But people are used to seeing the film. That's what they're used to seeing.
True.
And especially if you're not a theater lover. There are people that don't like the theater. There are people that love the theater. So if you're watching it on television, you're watching a Broadway show, if that's not what you're into, and you love the movie, this is different.
Yeah, that's a good point. By the way, Scotty, good to hear from you. This is Pat Jankowitz. I used to buy from your dad. You and your dad had the best stills when I was running for Fangoria and Starlog. Thank you again. How is he doing?
You're welcome.
Thank you. Does your dad still have a shop?
Yes, he still has a store. It's in Simi Valley.
It's a great store.
A little bit of a change of a name. We're sports and movie stuff now.
Oh, very good. I would have done movie and sports stuff, but hey, it was you guys had pictures nobody else had. When I did a really obscure interview, you were basically my first and last stop because you had everything.
Well, we over 1 million items in 30 years in business, and you acquire a lot of things, you buy a lot of things, you sell a lot of things. That's how business goes.
Wow. So Scott, if I can ask, when did you start acting? When did you decide to become an actor?
Oh, past my 8th birthday.
Wow. And what was your first gig?
Yoo-hoo chocolate drink.
Wow.
Yoo-hoo! A fun way to do chocolate. That was their slogan.
My God, I love Yoo-hoo. You get a few bottles of that and you're bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
Wow, Yoo-hoo chocolate drink. What was your first film?
First film was The Toy.
Wow, with Richard Donner. And the incredibly hot, I think it was Teresa Gansel was in The Toy, right?
Yes, she's wonderful. Love that lady.
Great lady. What was Donner like? You worked with the great Richard Donner. I mean, you worked with several legendary directors, including Bob Clark. But what was Dick Donner like? You're getting him right after Superman 2, right after Inside Moves. I mean, what was he like?
Fun, because this was not a heavy drama. It was not a sci-fi picture. It was a light comedy.
Wow.
So when you're doing light comedy, there's no reason to stress. There's no reason to really overwork it. You just relax and you let, the people that are doing it, let them do their thing. You've got Jackie Gleason. You've got Richard Pryor. You've got Ned Beatty. You got Teresa. You got Wilfred Hyde White. People who had decades and decades in the business.
And you were
let them do their thing, and it's all good.
Now, that was your first movie. You didn't know enough to be intimidated, did you?
Well, sure, I knew enough to be intimidated. But at the same time, I also knew who they were. I appreciated their work, and I just wanted to have fun.
Wow.
And they made it fun.
Was Pryor cool?
Best human being on planet Earth I've ever met.
Wow. I love hearing that.
Cool.
So,
right on.
Pryor was good to you. And how was Gleason? Was that intimidating? I mean, not intimidating, but he's playing your father. And I mean, you're too young to know at the time what this guy is and who this guy is, but it must have been amazing.
Now, how exactly did you make that determination?
Because even though your dad and you are movie buffs, at the age of 8, I'm figuring you wouldn't know the Honeymooners. You're probably more familiar with the Flintstones.
I started in show business when I was 8. When I shot The Toy, I was 13.
Oh, I apologize.
That's a whole different thing.
You
All
just
right.
changed the landscape.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, I thought it was your first.
That's a whole. There's a big difference between 8 and 13.
I thought you did it like 8 or 9. I apologize. Wow.
Mm-mm.
You just look like a young kid in that movie.
I knew the Honeymooners. I knew the Hustler. I knew Smokey and the Bandit. I knew who Gleason was.
Wow.
I knew who Richard was. I had seen Stir Crazy, and I had seen, other movies, Silver Streak.
I love Silver Streak. Silver Streak is so underrated, by the way. It's a great movie.
It's a fun movie. And again, it was fun because Ned Beatty's in it. And of course, Ned Beatty's in The Toy. Ned Beatty's in Superman. Ned Beatty's in The Toy. So,
that's right.
No, I knew who everybody was. I knew everybody's work, and I appreciated it. And it made the project go a whole lot smoother than it could have. Gleason, Mr. Gleason, he was known not to like to work with kids and animals.
Wow! And your mom, oh no!
But I was such a fan of his. And I knew dialogue from shows and movies that he had done. And he thought it was funny that I would do impressions of him. He thought it was great.
Oh, man. Yeah, I can imagine.
Not many people knew his son-in-law. His son-in-law was Father Karras from The Exorcist, Jason Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And his daughter, Gleason's daughter, is the blonde in King Kong Escapes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
But now you shot that in Georgia, right?
You're in the vicinity. We shot it in Louisiana.
Wow. So you were the guy responsible for Hollywood bailing on Hollywood. You don't get any Hollywood.
No, I was living in New Jersey. I had nothing to do with Hollywood back then.
Wow. When did you guys finally make the trip?
Say again?
When did the Schwartz family finally come to LA?
87.
Wow, that late.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So let me ask you, when on Christmas Story. Now, how did you audition with several other kids for your part, or how did that happen?
What'd you read for Ralphie?
Easiest audition I ever had in my whole life. It was about a week or so after the toy opened in the theaters. Bob Clark had already seen it, and so he called me in, went into the audition in New York, and we talked for a few minutes, and he says, you know what? I've been doing this all day. I'm a little hungry. You want to get a hot dog? I said, sure. We went downstairs with my dad. We grabbed a hot dog and a Pepsi and a Yoo-hoo and a Knish. Okay, fine. And we yapped on the street corner. Wow. We went back upstairs. He said, Scott, I got to tell you, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in. I said, you're welcome, Bob. I said, do you want me to read anything? He's like, no, that's okay, thanks. Okay, fine. So I left. We walked up the 6 or 7 blocks up to my agent's office. Walked in the door. She said, what did you do? I said, what do you mean? She said, he called already. You got the movie.
Wow.
All right.
That's amazing.
Well, I know a lot of these guys, they make their decisions. They know within the first 10 seconds whether they're going to use you or not. Right?
Bob was an interesting guy. He basically was just looking for normal, regular kids that could be fun. That's what he wanted. He didn't want Hollywood robotic kids.
Yeah. The Adam Rich thing where they all have the same bowl cut and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was interested in, you like sports, you like movies, what do you like? I mean, we just talked.
Wow.
It was great, and that's what he wanted. He just wanted natural kids.
No, could you talk a little about Bob Clark? I've always loved his work, from Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things to Black Christmas to such a flip when he did Christmas Story and Porky's and all this other stuff. Was he genteel? Was he quiet? Was he Canadian? What did he remind you of? What was he like?
What was he like?
Yeah, Bob Clark.
He was really just a regular guy. He didn't have an ego. He didn't have any kind of attitude. He just moved things along.
Wow.
Let the actors interpret the writing the way that they see it. And if he didn't like it, then he would give you, a note or two or something. My case, my role, on the grand scheme of the film is pretty small. He knew I had done the stuff with Gleason and Friars. He saw that I could handle myself.
Wow.
And he just said, hey, do what you want, and I'll tell you if I like it or I don't like it. Okay.
Wow.
And, I did, all the things on the pole, the scene. The script says, Flick gets stuck to pole. That's it. That's all that's there. Everything else, I just ad-libbed and improv'd in. And he's like, that's good. Give me more. Just go overboard. Okay. And so I raised up the level of my voice and I raised up the action. He said, you know what? That's a little bit too much. Bring it down a little bit. Okay, that's fine. And that was it. He was more worried about, Peter being Ralphie and the main characters. And, Peter and him spoke constantly. Whereas me, he just let me go. It was great.
Wow.
It was a new thing. Every playground after this movie was doing double dog dare, triple dog darias. I mean, I never heard that term until I saw the movie, and then every school kid in town was I dare you, I double dog dare you, for whatever it was.
It was not our generation of language, of linguistics.
No,
it was more 40s that they did that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. But no, it was a bomb on its original release, right?
No, it was not a bomb. You have to sort of understand what went down. MGM did not even want to put the movie out.
Wow.
And Bob and Darren McGavin started proceedings to buy the film from them. They said, okay.
Oh, my God. They were going to buy the movie from them.
Yeah, so they put it out in 400 theaters, and it did good. Then it went to like 900 theaters, and it did good. Then it went to like 1,400 theaters. Going into the 4th week, all of the big Christmas movies were coming out. I think it was like Rambo 3 or something else.
Oh, no. You're right. When you came out, it was the original Rambo. It was First Blood. Christmas 82. Wow.
So that came out and took all the theaters, and then we just slowly after that, over a few weeks, it was gone. had that not happened and they gave it a real release, I think it would have done much better.
Wow.
But it found that second life on home video, 9 months later, and then it just started to build over the course of years where it became a cult movie.
Wow.
People were like, have you seen this? No, I haven't seen it. Well, here's my VHS copy. Watch this.
Yeah.
No, Scott, when did you start to hear about the second coming of Christmas Story? When it was really catching on through cable viewings and everything, when did you become aware that this was a major movie on your resume?
Realistically, it happens when Ted Turner bought the MGM library and he bought Christmas Story and they decided to do the marathon.
Wow.
And the first year was okay. It's like, cool, this is nice. Then it was the second year, the third year, and all of a sudden it was like, all right, what's going on? And then by like 2001, 2002, then the Christmas Story house came up for sale. All of a sudden there were products and leg lamps and this and that. And that's when wait a minute, this is a movie that's almost 20 years old, and now people are doing merchandising on it.
Yes, exactly.
Action figures. They made action figures, you guys.
Yeah.
That's 20-something years, 22 years after the film is made.
Wow.
That just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, and now the movie is iconic. It's almost like
it's around the world.
Yeah, it's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You have to watch it during the Christmas times.
And listen, it caught on. People love it. They put it in the National Film Registry. They consider it now a national treasure of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You made the list. Holy crap.
When things like that happen, you go from being just a nice little movie to something that's a little bit more than that.
Wow.
And now you can get it. It comes the special CD, the DVD Christmas package with a nice metal canister and with all the...
listen, that's all merchandising.
It's all merchandising with all the extras and specials.
Go on,
listen, at this point, Warner Brothers made a statement, this was a couple of years ago, that based on what they spent on the film, it's the highest grossing film in Warner Brothers history profit-wise.
Wow, because it was like $2 million, right?
Story than any other film they've ever been a part of. Remember, they bought the film from MGM for $250,000. And this is a film that every year they show the marathon, and it makes $4, $5, $6, $8 million. Just in ad revenue. So to them, it's all gravy on top of the gravy on top of the gravy.
Wow. No. Do you settle down? Like Jeff and I were wondering, do you settle down with a glass of wine and sample the marathon on Christmas Eve, or?
What did you smoke this morning?
You won't watch a little bit about it? You want to sample a little bit, or?
I probably watched Christmas Story over the course of, the 5 to 7 years after it was made, probably 300 or 400 times, because you have to watch it with your family.
Wow.
Then you have to watch it with your cousins. Then you have to watch it with some of your friends. Then you have to watch it with other people. Then there's a screening, and then I flip it on certain times, whatever. I love the Chinese restaurant scene. I love anything Darren McGavin did. I'll flip it on and off. It's different when you're in something. It's a beloved thing, and I appreciate it. But it's me. I experienced it. I went through it. I did it. So it's something I did that I enjoy and I appreciate it.
It's like you're wondering how many times Zuzu had to sit through It's a Wonderful Life. All these screenings, all these rubber chicken dinners, you're going to be 90 and they're going to still wheel you out for a Christmas Story reunion,
Listen, if that would happen, it would be amazing. I understand. This is not a movie anybody had any real passion for other than Bob Clark and Gene Shepard. Wow. They wanted to get this movie made. And the fact that America as a country, the television viewing audience, grabbed a hold of it and said, we like this. Tens of thousands of films get made, they get thrown on the wall, and very few stick. And this one stuck.
Yep.
Wow.
And, you know, it's a blessing. It's great. It's fun. You know, something that I did as a kid. And as we get older, we sort of look at things differently, and we look at, you know, what are we leaving behind? What's our legacy? All those kinds of things. And the fact that I did something at such a young age, and that's the thing, that's the legacy, you know, listen, I got no problem with it.
Wow. Now, that picture I posted on Facebook, there's where's that bronze statue in the pole? What state is that in?
The statue is in Hammond, Indiana,
wow,
which is just south of Chicago. When you go from Illinois to Indiana, they have a welcome station, which they have at every state. And it's a state-run facility and all that. And Hammond is the home of Gene Shepard.
Wow.
So that's amazing.
They decided to do this. They raised the money privately. It wasn't, you know, funded by Warner Brothers or anybody. That was a Hollywood thing. This was raised by private individuals, you know, in and around the city of Hammond. And they put it up, you know, now it's a couple of years ago, you know. And
do you know who the artist was, the sculptor?
Not off Oscar somebody, not off the top of my head.
Was he a local? Was he from Indiana?
No, he was from Illinois, and he had done many other statues. I think he did one or two of the statues that are in Chicago for the sports teams. He did one of the Jordan statues.
Oh, wow.
In fact, out here in California, if you go to see Jerry Buss, if you go to his burial site, there's a head statue on top of his grave, and the same guy did that as well.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so cool. I mean, the privilege, like, this guy did all this great work, and there's myself, a bronze statue of me.
Yeah, I mean,
as a landmark going into the city.
Yeah,
that is just that. What I mean, I wouldn't even know what to. I mean, what did you go to the unveiling? Was there an unveiling of that, or a party, or?
Yeah. They had an unveiling there, and they flew me in, and I went and I saw it. You know, and there really are no words to describe something like that. You know, you see athletes, and it's okay, but seeing it and then sort of doing a little bit of research and finding out that there's like 29 or 30 statues of actors around the world in different places. I'm not talking about like Hall of Fames or anything like that, but just things that are out there. Lucille Ball has one in Buffalo, New York. Henry Winkler has one in Milwaukee. Jackie Gleason has one at the bus station in New York. Richard Pryor now has one in Peoria, Illinois.
wow.
And I'm a member of this pretty small club. You know, you can look at pretty much any living actor other than Henry. There's Henry, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think Schwarzenegger has one.
Roger Stallone has one. Stallone has one in Philly.
Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you're part of that circle. I mean, you're with all these iconic icons. I mean, that'll live till the day the earth dies.
But I mean, you know, you look at Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, blah blah, and none of them have this. Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. It's something they don't have, but I have. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
You know, now, with all of this being said, the statue and $4 still gets me a cup of coffee and a donut at Dunkin' Donuts.
You've always had a good attitude about that, though. You know what I mean? I mean, I think it's because you've done you've run the movie shop with your pop. You've always had a healthy attitude about the movie and your relationship to it. You know what I mean?
It was a job. I understand work ethic. You know, I was 15 years old. I'd done movies, and I wanted money during the summer. And my father would say to me, "Oh, you want some money? Well, come out to work with me." My dad was a window cleaner, so I would get up 5:30 in the morning, get in the car with Dad. We'd get a cup of coffee. I'd grab a bucket and start washing windows at shopping centers and, you know, individual stores. And sometimes we did people's homes and all that stuff. So I sort of got a realistic point of view of the whole thing. And I mean, we're just people. There is nobody that is more important or better than somebody else. We all put our pants on the same way. We all drink our coffee the same way. And if you just kind of understand life is what it gives you, you know, and you just make the best of everything, you should be able to be okay in life. You know, there's one thing that I learned years ago, and it was from Richard Pryor. I asked him one day, I said, Richard, and he and I were hanging out at his house and whatever. And I said to him, you don't have an ego. And he's like, come again? I said, you don't have an ego of any kind. You're one of the biggest stars on the planet. You don't have an ego. And he looked at me and he goes, and how much does that pay?
Wow.
I said, it doesn't pay anything, but it's a state of mind. He goes, listen, if it's not going to help me take care of my kids, my car, my home, my food, I don't need to have it. It's a waste of time.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a healthy attitude, actually.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah, I wish everybody was like that. There's a lot of egos out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even in this little radio station of ours, we got some egos flying around here.
But it's interesting. I mean, Scott, when you were doing gigs like this, did you have a particular favorite? Was there one gig better than another? And you know what I mean? In memories of shooting them?
I mean, listen, the Christmas Story was nice. I froze my tushy off. I mean, we were up in Canada, in Cleveland. It was the winter time. It was not comfortable at all.
Wow.
I shot Kidco, another film I did, Kidco, in Tucson, Arizona, and I was the workhorse. I was on the set 98% of the time. It was a job.
Wow.
The toy was the most fun by far because everybody made it fun. Talking to Gleason teaching me how to shoot pool in the house.
Wow.
In the big plantation house. Richard, we went to the movies. We went to arcades. We drove bumper cars. I mean, he made it about as fun as it possibly could have been. There were things that he did that were just hysterical. Today, people would have a heart attack because of the atmosphere that we're in the world. He and I would be sitting there in our director's chairs, and he would say to me, I'm 13 or 14 at the time. Well, what do you think of that girl over there? And he'd be like, and he'd be like, yeah, she came over to my room last night. And I'd be like, that's nice. I had no idea what he was talking about,
He's
and day after day, he would do this. Well, one day, all of a sudden, it's around lunchtime, and I get a knock at my trailer door, and there's a little 15-year-old girl. And she wants to come and hang out with the guys from the movie. And the next thing you know, it's kissy face and feel a boob or whatever, And this is going on day after day after day. And I'm thinking, hey, I'm getting over. This is great. Well, little did I know, and it took me 5 years to find this out. I'm sitting at Richard's house when I moved out to L.A., and we got to talking one day. And, of course, then by then I had, experiences with women and all that stuff. And I said, I still remember on the movie, all these girls coming to my door, and he starts laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing about? He goes, I went and handpicked them and sent them to your trailer. What do you think? Come on, dude.
Wow. Richard Pryor is your wingman.
Yeah, that is that is the best.
Wow.
That's a great story.
That is a great story.
That's a hell of a wingman.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's amazing. So he would find girls and send them to your trailer.
Man, I needed
one of those. The girls that were the extras, or this or that, he'd send them over. The man was hysterical. He was the greatest.
That's so charming. That's really great. You know what I mean? I mean, did Donner, when you were working with him, did Donner have you watch the original? I think it was a Francois Weber movie, wasn't it? The original toy?
It was called La Jouet. That was the name of the film, La Jouet.
Wow. La Jouet, that's French for toy, right?
Wow. Yeah. Is that
he never asked me to watch it. No, I just, I had my dialogue memorized. I was ready to go, and we just did what we did.
Wow.
And I mean, the first couple of weeks getting my feet wet in the process, I was a little stiff, and I stuck to the dialogue and all that. And Richard and I had a couple of conversations because he ad-libbed and just did what he wanted, and Gleason ad-libbed and did what he wanted. And it took me about 2 weeks, maybe about 15, 17 days, and all of a sudden, I started ad-libbing with them, and I started improvising with them.
Wow.
And Richard was like, this is great. Great stuff. He was always, very complimentary toward me and very encouraging. And once I got into it with him, then it was just, we were off and running.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that's really charming. Coming of age on this Richard Pryor movie.
Yeah.
And Bob Clark, did you stay in touch with him after the film?
Let's think. This is 83. No internet.
Wow.
No cell phones. You know, it took me, when I moved out to L.A., that was when I reconnected with Bob. And, of course, by then, the late 80s, we had cell phones, the brick phones that were $4 a minute and all that.
Yeah.
Most everybody had pagers for $4 a month or $7 a month or whatever it was.
I forgot about that.
And, yeah. So, I mean, we got back in touch at that point. So we had dinners and, you know, we had, you know, just hung out several times. And besides having dinner once every couple weeks, you know, whatever. He loved Norms. He loved Norms. Absolutely.
I love Norms.
Yeah, but it was, Bob was a vampire. Bob, if you called Bob at 2:00 in the afternoon, forget it. You got a machine, and he never picked up. You called Bob 11:00 at night. He got hello.
Yeah, let's go to Norms.
Wow. So he was.
Oh yeah, no. The last time I saw Bob, we were at Norms in Santa Monica.
Wow.
And we met. I think it was like 11:45 at night.
Jeez. Now, were you meeting him there, or was it just an accidental encounter?
Oh no. He said, you know, oh, we'll go to dinner on Saturday night. Okay. All right, what time is dinner? I'll call you later. Okay. And he called me. You know, he called me on Monday, and he's like, yeah, we'll meet. We'll meet at 11.
Wow.
I'm like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
And I always felt bad because him and his son were killed by a drunk driver a few years back. You know.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, we know that. An illegal alien drunk driver who had 3 or 4 previous DUIs.
I mean, this guy was a national treasure, so I feel kind of bad about that, you know? But speaking of national treasures, what was McGavin? Can we talk about Darren McGavin?
I talked to him twice. I had no scenes with him. I talked to him at the beginning when we did the table reading before you start shooting. And then during the Higbee scene with the
grocery store with Santa Claus, yeah.
Yeah, because the hotel that we stayed in was connected to Higbee's. You just had to go inside on a walkway. And they really didn't want us to go out at night. It was much too cold. And, of course, hey, they got food. So, you know, and they had to shoot at night because during the day the store was open. So they started shooting at 8 o'clock at night. So, you know, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, you get hungry. The room service is done. Downstairs is closed. Where are you going to go? Oh, I'll go over to catering. Okay, I'll go get myself a bagel. This is great.
Excellent.
That's amazing. So what played Higbee's? Was Higbee's actually Higbee's, or was it another department store in Cleveland?
No, it was really a Higbee's. That's what was on the building. It was Higbee's back then.
Wow. Wow. And so you talked to him just twice.
That was it.
Wow. So I assume there was almost no contact with Melinda Dillon.
She's in the scene where Ralphie beats up Scott Farkas, and I was there.
Oh, that's right. What can we know is the Scott Farkas affair? I forgot about that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we talked then, and then we talked at the reading, and then there was 1 or 2 other times that she was around because they were, you know, switching things over from one thing to another, and we were around. And the last time I saw Melinda was at the 25th anniversary. TV Guide did a thing with us and brought myself, Melinda, and Zach in, and we did a little photo shoot and had a nice time with Melinda.
Wow. I met Billingsley once when I was covering, he's producer in the Iron Man movies. You know what I mean? And I noticed.
It produced the first one, yeah.
And they had a shout out to him. They cast a kid who looked like him in A Christmas Story in Iron Man 3, which I thought was amusing.
Yeah.
Well, that's an inside joke because him and Jon Favreau have been friends for decades, and that was a total inside joke for them that the kid walks up to Robert Downey and wants an autograph, and Robert Downey looks at him and says, "You look like the kid from Christmas Story." That's a total inside joke.
Yeah, not everybody's gonna know that one.
That's hilarious.
I worked with Zach on one of his films. It was called Restoration. God, it's been almost 2 years now. I think. Zach's a great guy. I loved working with him.
One of my very good, very, very good friends, if not family at this point.
Oh, that's really charming. You
know? I don't even know what happened to that movie. Did you see Restoration? That movie, his mom was in. I met his mother, and she was just a sweetheart. She was great.
His mom's a piece of work, man. Well, she's hysterical. We were in, oh my God, where were we? I think we might have been in Indiana, and she came down to visit, and she said something, that she had been divorced to her husband for years. And I said, it's okay, Pam. Ma, when you're ready, I'm ready. You'll be my next ex-wife. It's okay, and her and I just went off on this whole tangent about what marriage is and how you've got to, relate with the other person. And she's like, listen, if you snore, I'm not sleeping with you. Forget it. And I mean, Pam's no youngster, at this point, she's like, in her 70s.
Exactly.
And up and Zach is sitting there, and I'm like, listen, you're going to be my stepson at some point. Well, oh my God, that's,
at some point.
She was great. She had a crazy role in this movie,
Hey, speaking of, since we're not interviewing her, tell us about working with Johnny Depp on 21 Jump Street in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
He was a cool dude, man. Yeah, he was a cool dude. I had my 19th birthday while we were shooting my episode.
Wow.
So they thought it would be funny to take me out for my 19th birthday and get me drunk as a skunk, because I'm not a drinker. Okay?
Right.
So they're giving me these drinks, Baileys and whipped cream, and I believe they call them blowjobs. That's what they were.
Yes, exactly. That's what they are. Yep.
Wow.
And they got me blasted. And honestly, to this day, I remember the cab back to the hotel. I don't remember going upstairs. I just remember being in the hotel room.
Wow.
And we had there was I had a meeting with the toilet bowl, and I lost. And I got up, and it was an early call. It was like a 6:30 pickup, and I got like 3 hours of sleep, whatever it was. I got up and I got on the thing, and they were all just sloshed in the van. And I'm like, "What's up with you guys?" "Oh, last night." "Okay, I'm fine. Let's go to work." And he and I, myself, Peter DeLuise, we had a blast, and I've seen Johnny a couple times over the years, and he's like, "Dude, how you doing? What's going on?"
Wow.
Still that same humble guy, who's just a nice, good old boy.
Wow. And, you also worked with another legend. One of the scary, cool guys you worked with, when you did Fear, you actually worked with Edward Bunker, who was in Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, man, that guy spent all those years in prison.
A real convict, the author of No Beast So Fierce. So what was he like?
I didn't work with him much. It was just maybe a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
I worked much more with Cliff Young and Kay Lenz and Stallone and Frank Stallone.
Wow.
Jerry Betzler is the girl. I worked with them more than I worked, with the prison inmates, so to speak.
Right.
Charlie, I can't think of his last name, the black guy. He was terrific. He was fun. And I'll tell you what, we shot that here in L.A., and we were out in Canyon Country shooting stuff, and man, it was bitter.
Wow.
I'm like, this is L.A. How can it be 32 degrees? This is insane.
Wow. So
that's colder than Michigan.
Robert Factor is one of the other guys. Robert Ferretti was the director, and he's a cool guy. I still keep in touch with most all of them.
Oh, do you really?
Lenz, I just saw a couple months ago. Yeah, Facebook's an amazing thing.
Wow, yeah. They said Facebook has basically killed the class reunion because you can screen.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true, because it's different. Where you used to not see anybody for 10 years, now you see them on Facebook, you see their kids, you talk to them on Facebook, but that's not really talking to them.
Yeah.
You're just typing on a computer. But I went to my 10-year, my 20-year, my 30-year, and we had a blast, and everybody's just hanging out. So, in my case, I love going back and seeing my old friends in the old neighborhood. And
by that, you mean Jersey or you mean here? Jersey or California?
No, Jersey.
Wow.
Jersey.
And how close did you live to Matawan Creek when you were in Jersey?
Where the hell is that? I don't even know where Matawan Creek is. What's it near?
It's God. It's by the Jersey Shore. That's all I know. It's where Jaws is set, or where the shark ate all the people in 1916.
Yeah, that's all the way down the coast. I mean, that's south of Atlantic City, which was 2.5 hours from where I grew up.
Wow. How close were you? How close were you to the Pine Barrens?
Not close at all. I was sort of central Jersey. That's what they call it. I was an hour from Philly. I was an hour from Manhattan.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, and do you miss it at all? How often do you go back?
I go back probably anywhere from 3 to 5 times a year.
Wow. So you still have lots of family. You got cousins and uncles and aunts over there, and
I have cousins that are there. Most of the aunts and uncles are gone. They moved to either Florida, Vegas, other places. My family's all out here. They live within 10 minutes of me.
Wow.
My brother's like 20 minutes away from us. You know, he's in the Valley, San Fernando Valley. But I mean, I do have some cousins that do live out on Long Island, Staten Island.
Oh, Long Island, yeah. As they call it.
New York and New Jersey is always where my heart will be because I'm a New Yorker. I'm a Jersey boy.
Wow. And you were on Rags to Riches, the Married with Children spinoff, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
We did that with Tisha Campbell and Heidi Ziegler, Joseph Bologna. Actually, it was funny because the guy that's the butler, his name was Douglas Seitz. Seitz, I can't remember how you pronounce it. We did Broadway together.
Wow.
We did Frankenstein on Broadway at the end of 1980.
That was the one that closed in one night, right? It had John Carradine as the blind man.
Yeah, John Carradine's the blind man. Diane Wiest plays Elizabeth.
Keith Jocham from Ann Arbor, Michigan played the monster.
You know, I found a contact on him, and I actually have a picture. I have one picture from Frankenstein of me and him. And I've got to get a hold of him. I think he's in the Midwest, St. Louis or Kansas City or something.
Wow. So you were literally in the legendary, it was a legendary bomb. They kept horror off of Broadway for years because of Frankenstein. It closed in opening week, right? I heard it was great.
It was a great show. We did 29 previews on Broadway at the Palace Theater. We opened up, and that night at the reviews, Terry Allen Kramer, Joseph Papp, they had a little bit to drink, and the reviews came in. They weren't that great, and they decided they're going to close the show.
Wow.
The next morning, they got up and realized they made a mistake. Okay, let's shoot a new commercial. The commercial may have been the worst commercial in the history of anything.
Wow.
They got a lightning flash, a hand came down, the Frankenstein monster hand, and then another bolt of lightning, and it said Frankenstein, live at the Palace. That was the whole commercial. So they decided they're going to keep going, but they had already told everybody we're done.
Wow.
So 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday, they called John Carradine. He's still there. Okay, fine, no problem. They called David Dukes, and he was a working actor. Within, his agent got in the office 8 o'clock, 8:05. He booked Only When I Laugh for Neil Simon with Marsha Mason, and he was gone. So now you have no lead, no big advanced sales, and no commercial. Where are you going?
Poor Frankenstein.
And honestly, there was a guy who played Dr. Frankenstein before David. His name was William Converse Roberts. To me, he was 5 times better than David Dukes, but he didn't have the name, and they just felt he wasn't strong enough. I thought he was terrific.
Wow.
To this day, I've never run into him, would love to, and shake his hand and say, you were the guy. You were Dr. Frankenstein in my eyes. Oh, John Glover was in the show.
John Glover?
He played Dr. Frankenstein's best friend, the assistant.
Yeah, Pretorius. Wow. Because it opened and closed in one night. Basically, Stephen King's Carrie, when it became a musical with John Cougar Mellencamp, that became the second biggest bomb. And they were like, horror just doesn't work on Broadway. But I heard it was an incredible production. I've seen pictures of the sets of him like wandering.
Had they continued, I think it would have gained some more crowds and some more people. A guy named Bran Ferrin, who did the special effects for Altered States.
Yes.
He rigged the whole theater. When the lightning bolts came down, every seat in the theater shook.
Wow.
I mean, there were things that they did that had never been done before at that time. And the sets were 50 foot high.
Yeah,
we were on a rake stage. I mean, it was incredible.
Who did you know? You played Frankenstein's little brother who gets murdered, right?
Yes, in the book, Dr. Frankenstein's younger brother gets killed by the monster. So I got killed on Broadway every night.
Did they keep the nanny being hung? Because in the book, the nanny gets hung because they think she murdered you.
No, they didn't kill Elizabeth.
Wow. Scott, I had no idea you did. This play is legend. As somebody who's covered the horror scene for Fango and stuff like that, I had no idea you were in this play. This play is kind of legendary, both notorious because it closed so fast, and legendary that you had John friggin' Carradine as the Hermit. You know,
it was a great cast. The play itself was terrific. Again, just a lack of advanced sales, and also the two producers. They were making money hand over fist. They had sugar babies on Broadway. Joseph a Dreamboat. They had like 3 or 4 shows that were going, and they were raking in the money by the barrel load. And they went, you know what? Yeah, whatever.
Wow. So they were making so much money they just didn't care.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's over. And then they went, oops.
Oh man.
God. Oh my God. I mean, when you look at that, I had no idea you worked on that. So you literally had one of the most both glorious and notorious plays to open on Broadway.
Listen, it was great. I had, again, I'm in 3 scenes. I was in the first scene, the second scene, and then I was in the first scene of the second act, and that's when I get killed.
Wow.
So I got to hang out most of the time.
Yeah, because Keith Joachim was from Michigan. Joachim, I don't know how he pronounced his name, but he was from
Joachim.
Because he was from Michigan, Ann Arbor, and when the play bombed, it's like Frankenstein comes home. You know, when he came back from Broadway, and it was so sad. I mean, because it was such a big thing that a guy from Michigan was playing on Broadway.
Everything goes back to Michigan.
It does.
It does. Scott, you know that Patrick here is from Michigan.
And so that's why it was a big deal that Keith was from Michigan. But you said the sets.
Well, I had family. I had family in Michigan. Actually, I still have some family in Michigan, and they're in West Bloomfield, off 15 Mile and Orchard Lake Road.
A very nice neighborhood.
Oh boy, don't get him started.
Listen, I can roll them off. You want the Plaza Deli on Southfield?
Wow,
great conditions. Deli on Orchard Lake.
Yes.
The Papa Romano's.
Hey, you haven't
Mai-Tai Cleaners.
Even the cleaners, man.
You haven't mentioned Tally Hall yet, where you can get the best condition.
Tally Hall.
Wow.
Oh, I have a great Tally Hall story.
Please.
Yes.
Tally Hall is this world restaurant you felt refined eating there. Go on.
My uncle got tickets to a show called Lend Me a Tenor.
Wow.
And it had been on Broadway and other places. Well, they brought it to the Fox. They brought it to to Michigan.
Detroit's biggest theater.
And we watched the first act, and we go in the lobby. My uncle and I are sitting there, and an old couple comes and sits next to us. And the man looks at the woman and says, "If this show comes here again, they won't even open up the second act."
Oh, no. By the way, that's Michigan. Blunt, rude people everywhere you. And it's funny. McGavin used to always do plays at the Fox. He'd come to town and do a couple plays every now and then. So it's just amazing. I mean, have you done like the Motor City Comic Con, Scott? Have you gone back and done any conventions there?
I've been to Novi. I've done the Motor City one time. Yes.
Did you like it?
Oh, I had a great time there. Fun people. Well, 696.
Yeah, wow. Look at you. He name-checked Novi, Michigan, which you'd have to actually visit the state to know where Novi is.
Ah, yeah.
Wow. Scott?
There's nothing like the Stage Deli on Orchard Lake Road. You get to see the fish platter with the lox and the whitefish and the bagels and nothing like
the lox and the cream and the bagels it felt like they just put them on. The only other bagels that are better would be Jamal's New York bagel out here in Rancho Cucamonga.
That's our sponsor. We ate there yesterday after the show.
No, Scott, that's amazing. I mean, now we're
actually for I think it was like a year and a half or 2 years, and this is going back decades now. My uncle was kind of a little well known in Michigan in that area. His name was Alan Schwartz, the singing window washer.
Wow. He was on PM Magazine.
He was on TV. He did, I want to say the guy on the radio was Joe McCarthy.
Oh, no. My mom loved him. Jerry McCarthy. No, let's see.
Jerry McCarthy. There you go.
Yeah.
And my uncle had written a song for Papa Romanos.
Wow.
That is so cool.
He sang it on the radio.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, they got a hold of him, and for like a year or two on TV, they did his song in the commercial, and it was great, Papa Romano's, your pizza paisano, pizza, because we love to eat, and it's no phony, your pepperoni, you're making your pizza, because we love to eat,
How many dogs do you have, Scott?
How many dogs do you have, Scott? Dan, the man, our producer, wants to know.
How many dogs? I'm counting 3 dogs.
I have 4. I have my oldest is 13. That's Phoebe.
I love dogs.
Then I have Reggie and Deuce, and then my little girl. Her name is Miss Elizabeth.
Oh,
that's right. I heard 3 out of 4 dogs. That's pretty good. On my earphones. That's pretty good.
I own a Chihuahua, so I recognize the little one's yapping. She's mad.
Every morning when I knock on Pat's door, that dog ready to knock it down.
My dog despises, even though she's like 12 pounds, she despises Jeff for some reason. She's an excellent judge of character. Hey, Scott, since we're in the last 3 minutes, could we have you pimp anything you want to pimp?
Yes, let's plug Scott Schwartz and all his things going on right now.
See, I mean, most of the season is over. I will be in Denver and in Aurora coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. At Mike Stadium Sports Cards.
Wow.
And next year in August, I'm going to be putting on a show in St. Louis, the STL Pop Culture Con. And we'll see where that goes. And I'm always at the Chiller Theater Show in Parsippany, New Jersey in April and October. They have 60, 70 celebrities that are there, and it's a great pop culture show, And out here, I'm normally at the Hollywood show that happens every 3 or 4 months, and I go there and I hang out and I get to see a lot of old friends.
Do you ever do Monster Palooza, which is a great con out here?
I'm not really a horror guy. I mean, I did an incredible film called Raiders of the Living Dead.
I saw that. I like Raiders of the Living Dead. It used to run on HBO.
It ran on one of them. Oh God! But besides that, I really didn't do horror, so that's not my genre. So they don't really book me, which is okay. I think the guy's name is Ken that runs it. He's a good guy, and the show is successful. I go once in a while because a lot of the people that are there I know. So I go and hang out with PJ Souls.
I love her.
Oh, she's awesome. You've done quite a bit of shows since I...
Let him finish. Go on.
Since I seen you last, I saw you on...
Go on, Scott, I'm sorry.
No, David Naughton from...
American World.
Yes!
Wow. From London, So, I mean, there's a lot of good people that go there.
Wow.
Okay, this is the part of the show that I don't like.
Oh, producer Dan. Why do you always give us this sad news every show?
Sorry, it's my job. We're down to the last minute.
Last minute?
Last minute, actually.
Any shout-outs you want to make, Scott?
Our guests for coming on, Scott. Thank you so much.
Scotty, thank you so much. We'll be watching you on Christmas Eve, and I look forward to catching you in the LA convention.
You got to have a happy holidays, guys. Be healthy, be safe, and have a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Sir. To you and your dad and your family. Thank you so much. You're great guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. All right. Bye-bye, Scotty.
All right.
Boy, I really want to thank our sponsors today for I want to start with Jamal. We took a picture with him and promoted
New York Bagel, great place.
New York Bagels,
Rancho
man.
Cucamonga.
That blueberry bagel with the cheese and egg and sausage is the best breakfast sandwich ever.
I introduced the great Mark Savage to the Everything Bagel, and they're right next to Four Color Comics in Rancho Cucamonga.
Yes, and Pacific Wine Merchants in downtown Upland at the Metrolink Cigar Exchange. Live entertainment on the weekends. Go there. We'll see you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Tomorrow, we have Jack Ladoga, also known as Jack Grisham from TSOL.
Booyah.
Booyah.
And,
rock and roll.
Dan the Man Rupp, any shout-outs before we go?
And then,
Wow.
all right.
Goodbye, everybody. Love y'all.
Bye.
Wow. Great show, actually.
Dude, he was better than I thought he was going to be.
No, but I've always liked Scott and his dad. They have great stories.